A very good afternoon to all our viewers. I'm Tilini Gabriel from Entrepreneur.MD and welcome again to a segment of Education on Air. I'm here today with no stranger to us, Mr. Naren Narul Raja, CEO of Equa Marketing, known internationally for innovative ideas and implementation that propels medical practices to their success. Today he will be talking about internet marketing overviews. People buy, selling doesn't work. This presentation is for doctors. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to post it on our Q&A section just by pressing the Q&A bubble on the left-hand side of your screen. We will address them after Naren has finished his presentation. Hi Naren and welcome. It's over to you, Naren.
Thank you very much, Telini. I'm glad I have this opportunity to talk to the doctors. I understand many doctors have signed up for this, presentation. We are doing a series, so this is the overview. This is kind of the big picture, 10,000-foot view of internet marketing, and then we have 4 additional presentations where we'll dive a bit deeper, topic by topic. Obviously, we'll tell you what those are at the end. Before I get started, let me spend a minute or two just introducing myself so you know who I am. I'm the founder of Equa Marketing, and we have been in business, I guess, in the marketing field for more than 10 years. We have approximately 200 plus clients and around 150 staff. Out of the 150 staff, 100 people dedicated to serving our 200 plus clients. So we are a kind of a different type of a company. We really believe in the idea of keeping clients for life, and we feel that to do that you have to constantly evolve, and more importantly you need to have experts, and you need to be able to invest a lot of time on behalf of each one of your clients one by one. So the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that 90% of Equa clients stay with us year after year after year. And because we specialize in the medical space, I would say 98% of our clients are medical doctors, typically dermatologists, plastic surgeons, dentists, ophthalmologists, gynecologists, and so forth. So let me dive right in. So the first point that I want to kind of impart today is the idea that, when you are in Rome, if you pretend like you are in New York, you're going to get lost, because the culture is different, the way things are done is different, even the roads are different because it's a different city. So one of the things that I struggle with sometimes with my clients, especially very successful doctors even, is that they grew up in a day and age where the world worked differently, especially when it comes to how patients went about choosing a doctor. Now, obviously, that's not the case. It's very different. So the key difference, I think, is fundamentally what the internet did is it made things so easy for consumers to figure things out. So consumers are able to do research. And as part of that research, they are buying, as opposed to in the old days where the salesperson or the ad did the selling. So in this new world where consumers have information at their fingertips, really understanding, trying to play an old game of, trying to sell to them doesn't work anymore. On the other hand, you can help them buy. You can help them buy from you. So we're going to talk about how to do that and what are the best practices and so forth based on our years of experience helping world-renowned doctors from around the US, Canada, UK, Australia, and Hong Kong. One of the key ideas I think that defines this new paradigm where people buy is that before internet, before Google, pretty much marketing went something like this. There's a stimulus. A stimulus could be an ad or a billboard or a yellow page ad or radio commercial, something that stimulates somebody to say, you know what, yes, I'm in the market for XYZ. Let me call this phone number that I just heard on the radio or that I saw on the billboard. So that's before information was so easy and was available to us on the fingertips. So when the stimulus happened, typically people would like if it's a car dealership, they would drive into the car dealership. If it's a medical office, they would call the medical office, try to find out more about the office and so forth. Now, that used to be called the first moment of truth, the first time your customer is engaging with your business. So, we talked about phone skills training and, how to answer questions and how to, deal with people and so forth. And then before the internet, what used to happen is if you do a good job in that first call and they like what they hear, then they make an appointment and they come and see you. Now, the second moment of truth is what used to be called the experience. In other words, how exactly do they feel about you and do they like you and so forth. So historically, before the internet, people paid attention to stimulus, the first moment of truth, the first time your customer engaged with you, and then the second moment of truth, which is the experience. Now, internet changed all that because internet put consumers at the center of everything and it made information available at their fingertips. So there's a new moment of truth that people are calling the zero moment of truth. And typically it's not a single moment, unlike the single phone call that they make to your office. Rather, it's a series of moments, and it's a series of moments that come when they're doing research, when they're thinking about something. So let's say you are a dermatologist and you provide cosmetic procedures and you have helped a lot of people look amazing. So let's say I have let's say wrinkles and I want to deal with that. Now I'm researching wrinkles and I'm looking at before and after pictures and I'm comparing doctors. So all of those different questions I'm asking in my process of finding a doctor that I think is right for me is what people call the zero moment of truth. What happens is as search engines like Google and technologies become so easy and ubiquitous and part of us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in mobile devices and computers, people are asking more and more questions. So, when the internet first came along, 15 years ago, people would just type in cars, the name of the city. Now they're getting into very specific details about the particular procedure and about additional details like before and afters and testimonials and so forth. So the trending is people asking more and more questions. So that means when they're asking more and more questions, you should be the one that they see again and again and again. Because remember, most human beings can't remember more than 6 things at a time. So most human beings will never consider more than 6 options at a time at the very most. Most people will consider 2 or 3. So if you are the one that they keep seeing again and again as part of the research, as part of their thought process, then you have a higher chance of being the one that they finally pick. So the question, I guess one of the key questions we'll be answering today is how do you be the one that dominates the zero moment of truth? How can you leverage the web? How can you leverage the different technologies to gain an advantage and stand out from the crowd? So new persons are searching for you. I mean, they're not necessarily searching for you by name. They're searching for the type of things you provide. If you are a dentist, maybe they're looking for information about Invisalign because they feel like they need braces. Some people don't even know Invisalign yet, so they're kind of just doing general research about braces. So when patients are searching, you need to be the one who keeps showing up again and again and again for everything you do. And search also has evolved. In 2007, people used Google 1 billion times a day. In 2013, they used it 6 billion times a day. Does it mean that in 6 years the population grew 6 times? No. Does it mean there are 6 times more people using the internet today versus 6 years ago? No. What it means is as these technologies become more and more powerful, people are asking more and more questions. So I think the breadth of what you need to target and you need to try to talk about has grown exponentially because people are asking more and more questions. Also, as you know, since iPhone came into being in 2007, people started carrying literally a computer in their pockets. So iPhone came, Android came, now 90% of people have what's called a smartphone, either made by Apple or Google, or running Google's Android operating system. So what that means is 90% of Americans are carrying one of these smart computers literally 24 hours a day. The computer that they're carrying with them knows a lot about them in terms of where they're located, what their search history is, and etc., etc. So those computers that they're carrying can provide better and better answers. Like, for example, when we look at search keywords, a lot of people don't even have to enter city name anymore because the location is already known to the computer because of GPS and other technologies. So they just have to type in what they're looking for, and Google will give them the best results. Existing patients are watching you. I think the idea of loyalty and the idea of, my dentist or my ophthalmologist is good at everything is gone. People believe in the idea of specialist. For example, contractors, right? I mean, there are some people who specialize in remodeling kitchens. There are some people who specialize in, improving washrooms for the elderly. So most people these days are trying to find the best solution for their needs. So I might have a general contractor type person who I've used for different projects, but if I want the best the most cost-effective kitchen, I'm going to start looking at people who just do that and look at their pictures and really think through what kind of a kitchen I want as part of my research, but also at the same time find the person that I'm most comfortable with. So the idea of loyalty is gone. I'm sure a lot of you know that people move these days. So most people on average every 5 years are buying a new home, which means they're physically moving, which means they're open to finding a new dentist and ophthalmologist, and dermatologist, etc. Right? So in addition to that kind of attrition, you're also going to have people saying, okay, you know what, I'm willing to spend 10,000 on XYZ, and I need to find the best doctor who can help me with that XYZ. I don't want to just go back to my regular doctor because that person may not be the best at that thing that I'm looking for. So now we're going to talk about some of the basics of what you can do and what are the key things you need to watch out for. Your practice website. So obviously you need to have a website and make sure it's mobile optimized because more and more people are using mobile devices, and when we track our stats we are seeing that. So make sure that your website looks amazing on a big screen as well as on a small screen, and there are specific technologies called mobile responsive website technologies and so forth that you can employ, and best practices you can employ to get the most out of the different screen sizes people are using. Keyword sections of a medical website. Key sections of a medical website. So typically a website should have the following types of information. Obviously it has to talk about what you do, the procedures that you offer. It has to have information that's going to make it easy for people to choose you versus your competition. So things like before and after pictures, your profile, patient testimonials, again written testimonials as well as video testimonials. You have to pay attention to the laws in your state because I know in some states certain types of information you cannot share on your website. So because we work with quite a few clients, we know those rules and we try to make sure that those are complied with because we don't want our doctors getting in trouble. News and announcements. A lot of clients want a doctor who really knows what he or she is doing. So they assume if you are in the media, local radio, local newspaper, even national media, you have to be better than the average doctor. So it tends to influence their decision-making process. So I know a lot of my clients have an in the media section where little by little they start adding everything that they have commented on or they have talked about on radio, TV, magazines, etc. on their site. So again, you don't need to have all of this up front, but little by little, it's something that you may want to build up to really build up your credibility in the marketplace and to really stand out. Now, videos are becoming extremely popular, especially on mobile devices, because on a small screen, it's painful to read, 300 words, but it's very easy to watch a HD video on a small screen while you're sitting at a Starbucks, drinking a coffee or even at home, So videos are becoming popular. What type of videos? Educational videos are very powerful, right, where you talk about a particular topic. Basic videos like introductory videos where you really explain your philosophy and what you believe in and why people should, come and see you. Testimonial videos are extremely powerful. Like, for example, hey, I'm Joe Smith. I have been coming to Dr. so and so for the last 10 years, and here are the 3 reasons why I keep coming back and telling my friends. Now, those 3 reasons typically is what makes you stand out and unique. Now, you want everybody who's considering you, who's going to your website, to know that. So, telling that using a patient, obviously who's willing to do that on your behalf, is very powerful. So, again, keep track of the laws, because you need to make sure you're complying with the laws. But within the laws, you can do certain things to really, communicate what makes you different. Also, you can have videos that talk about procedures. Either you explaining, a particular procedure, making it really easy, and explaining to them how your office, provides the best quality and the best, and the best ease of use for them. Like, for example, I know some of my dental clients, they do implants, and they do $30,000-$40,000 cases, and a lot of them, or at least some of them, make it easy for the patient to even get financing. Some of them, try to figure out a way to provide the solution, in a short time, so people don't have to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So all of those things could be easily explained using videos, and in a very compelling way, in 1 or 2 minutes, to really help people understand, why they should consider you. Reviews are extremely important. When I talk about reviews, I mean reviews on third-party sites, like Google Places, like City Search, and so forth. So we'll get into that a bit more today, plus in one of my subsequent presentations. What are some of the technical things you need to pay attention to, right? Make sure your website is fast. So making sure it's hosted in a safe environment with fast servers, redundancies, and so forth is key. Because if your website is really slow to load, people, will get, will not have the patience, and a lot of them might navigate out of your website. Make it easy to use, regardless of whether the person is using a traditional computer or a mobile device. Make sure your videos and images work on any device, because remember, you don't know what computers or what mobile device somebody's going to use. So if your video doesn't run on an Android, or run on an iPhone, or run on a certain operating system or a certain browser, you have a problem, because now people are not going to be able to really understand and learn about you, because that video doesn't load for them. So we use streaming technologies. So regardless of device, our technology can immediately convert the video into a native format that's optimized for that particular device on the fly, and therefore the users get an extremely awesome experience. Make sure there are no mistakes on your website, because that can be annoying, especially when people are willing to spend a lot of money to get a certain look or a certain result. Seeing shoddy work, shoddy things can turn them off. Don't use too much special effects, because I think we are moving more and more towards simplicity, and with devices being smaller and so forth, all these animations and all the other stuff sometimes can get in the way of communicating what you want people to learn about you, the key things. So I would say reduce it or eliminate it, or minimize special effects. Background text, colors, and fonts. You have to have a consistency. Like I sometimes go to websites where it's like a carnival. Every page looks different, and there's no rhyme or reason. For example, if you're using a font, use the same font across the board. If you're using a certain color for your titles, use the same color across the board. So when we do websites, we spend around 200 hours and doing it properly. And as part of that process, we create standards for that particular website. So every person who works on that website knows, what the font color is, what the font size is, and the font type is, and what type of things they can do with headings, and so forth and so forth. So whether it's now or 6 months from now, everything is done consistently, and the website looks professional and presentable, as opposed to just this mess. And now you can also take that and carry it through your marketing, whether it's print or whether it's social media and so forth. Contact information, you need to make sure that it's included in a certain way on your website, both for the sake of your consumers, plus because if you don't do that, you're not going to get maximum results from tools like Google Places and so forth, because they are going through your website and reading all that information. So if you want to show up on Google Maps, you need to follow Google standards on how to include your phone number and your website and your physical address. Um, Search engine optimization, I believe, is really powerful because it's the one thing that fundamentally changed the game in favor of consumers, where consumers can now ask anything they want and get exactly the information they need to make decisions. So when they use Google 6 billion times a day, you don't want to be the one that never shows up, because if you are the one that never shows up, you kind of not even in the game to win the game. So if you don't get into the ring, how can you expect to even have any chance of winning the game? So at least step one is, get into the game. So like we talked about, people are looking for more and more different types of things and more specific things. So having content, and we'll get into that a bit more today as well as in a subsequent presentation, that's targeting those specific things that people are looking for is really critical, because that's the only way you can show up, when people are looking for those specific things. Develop exceptional content. Make sure your content is easy to read. A lot of times, I've seen doctors saying, I wouldn't write that, or I wouldn't say it this way. Absolutely, you need to make sure your website, is consistent with your tone. However, remember, you are not talking to other doctors. You are talking to an average consumer who is not as knowledgeable as you are on the topic. So you need to talk to them in a way that is easy for them to grasp. And remember, you're not trying to also provide medical advice. That's not the purpose of a website. Rather, it's just informational, enough information so they feel the need to call you and discuss, set up an appointment to discuss more about that particular situation with you, right? So I think content is important, and obviously the content has to be original, meaning you can't copy and paste it. If you do, you'll get punished big time. So that's really important. You have to have at least a certain number of words. I would recommend 300 plus words. Otherwise, it's not meaningful enough for search engines to pick it up and show it to people. High quality backlinks. Google over the last year or so really started punishing people who Google felt were abusing the system with regards to backlinks. So now when we manage our clients, and one of the things I'm really proud of is that 100% of our clients are ranking on Google for at least 50, 100 keywords within the first 12 months. So one of the things I'm proud of, and one of the reasons why we don't get punished, is because we really proactively take a look at backlinks in a holistic manner. What do I mean by that? Like, for example, Google has a tool called Google Webmaster Tool, so it'll tell you the bad links. So you have to constantly go in and take the actions that Google is recommending, whether it's removing the link or telling Google to ignore the link, so you don't get affected by the bad links. And remember, what used to be a good link 6 months ago may be a bad link today, because Google has changed its criteria for what is a good link and what is a bad link. Also, you have to constantly work on acquiring high-quality good links on an ongoing basis. So we track how many links and how many high-quality links the different key pages on our website has. And then we have a team of 35 people that focus on getting high-quality links, on the right pages, so those right procedures rank. Now, that's something you need to pay attention to. So when you work with your marketing firm, make sure they're actually doing that. They are managing your existing links. They are getting new links. And one of the questions you could ask is, how many hours did you put in on my behalf in the last 30 days? Because when we produce our monthly reports, we mention exactly how many hours went into what, and our clients can verify it. So this way, like one of the things I hear a lot of companies say is, trust us, we'll take care of it. And a lot of times they don't do anything because they don't have a lot of people. Instead, they have a lot of salespeople. So you have to be very careful in making sure you're not getting sold a bunch of goods but not really getting the product. So you need to ask those tough questions. Look at the hours, look at what they have done. Get into the details. Don't take things at face value, because if you're not doing that, you could get punished and you could really lose in a big way. Providing an outstanding user experience, making things easy. Why? I mean, people have so many choices. It's so easy for them to hit the back button on their browser and go back to the next, doctor's website. So you don't want them to do that to your website. So, making things easy, making things compelling, those are all really, really important. And And we'll get more and more into this, in the subsequent presentations. We already touched on mobile-friendly sites. That's really key as well. We talked about duplicate content and being social. The other thing that you need to pay attention to is your numbers, like call tracking numbers, your search engine numbers, your keyword position numbers. One of the key things that we use is Google Analytics. Google will tell you exactly how many times a particular keyword was used within a month. What's your average position for that keyword across all their products? Now, you don't need to guess. And I know historically doctors just guess and say, oh, I think this is the keyword that people will be typing in. But the reality is those keywords keep changing and new keywords get added all the time. That's why, people started using Google from 1 billion times a day to 6 billion times a day today. So, so it's really, really important for you to look at Google Analytics, look at the keywords people are typing and how many times and where do you stand. And then working with your marketing company to move those big high-value keywords up and up and up on search results across products. Now, you don't need to guess anymore. You don't need to type the search in your Google screen anymore. Instead, you could ask Google Analytics, what's my average position for this keyword? So and it's Google telling you across all their devices and products where do you stand for that particular keyword that searched 200 times, in the last month. Also, how many likes do you have? How many ratings do you have? What's your average rating? Those are all key numbers you need to pay attention to. Numbers help you focus on the important things. Without numbers, you're just, muddling around and not really seeing results. Now, I have seen some clients, grow their practice. One client went from 0 to $1 million plus, and became, got into the top 2% of dentists. I have dermatology clients who have grown their practice 25% in 1 year and 20% in the second and so forth. And some of these clients already had pretty large practices. So the way we are able to do that is by paying attention to numbers, like I was talking about in the last slide. So it's really, really important to see what's going on. So you can say, okay, what's my 6-month plan? And that's something we always recommend and do for our clients. So you can have a plan and execute on that plan that says, okay, I want to double, or I want to grow my my traffic or whatever the targets by 50%, and then work towards it. So the hours that people are investing on your behalf is going to accomplishing those goals. Your patients are socially active, so you should be too. I mean, it kind of oversimplifies it, but the way I look at it, people don't go to Facebook or Twitter to find a new doctor. However, Facebook has become the new phone. So in the old days, on a birthday, you call somebody and you wish them. Today, you just wish them on Facebook. So most people, I think I'm just going by memory here, like I think 600 or 700 million people use Facebook every single day. And a lot of them use it on their mobile devices. So they're checking it every day. So by being part of that conversation, by engaging them, by talking to them, answering their questions, posting educational content, sometimes even, kind of something that brings smile to somebody's face, or you're doing something good in the community, sharing that. And being part of that conversation is really important. So it's kind of like you picking up the phone and calling somebody on their birthday. You can use Facebook to kind of do that with many people who are already your, fans. So I typically suggest don't put more than 2 to 3 hours. Try to have a team behind you that has learned not just from you, but from many other doctors. So hopefully, they can leverage what they have learned to help you as well. So they're not spending, 10 hours. Rather, because of all the learning, they can do what somebody else can do in 10 hours in 2 and really help you, keep that communication going with your patients. Newsletters or some kind of promos, it works. Now, in dermatology and plastic surgery, I see that work more so than in dentistry. And the reason is, it's beauty focused, and, maybe for the summertime, people want to, maybe use some fat melting products, for example. So you could offer something like that that's specific to the time of the year. So you can do different creative things to bring people in with special offers through Facebook, through your e-blast and newsletter, through your website. Now, like I said, it doesn't work for every type of practice. So these types of techniques will change by the type of practice that you run. Now, search engine optimization companies like Google pay a lot of attention to what's happening on Facebook. For example, if a lot of people are liking what you're doing and commenting on it, that's one more signal that will have somewhat of an impact on your search ranking. So having many of these profiles. So one of the things we do, there's a term called NAP, name, address, phone number. One of the things we do is we help our clients have multiple profiles, and we manage name, address, phone number across those profiles along with their positive reviews. I do not in any way believe you should try to generate reviews that are not true. So, but on the other hand, if you have happy patients, absolutely you can ask them, and again or make it easy for them to do reviews. So have your profiles listed on your website, and you can ask them to share their experiences. Obviously, you shouldn't overdo it. You have to do it in a way that enhances your relationship with the patient, not undermines it. Importance of new content. So adding new content, new original content, is really, really important. And the reason it's important is because remember, there are 500 other people or 100 other people who want what you want, and there's only 5 spots near the top of Google, or 3 spots on a small phone. So if you want to be near the top, by adding new content that's original and that has 300 words, really helps. We already talked about review and rating websites. The point that I made earlier is it's important for SEO. Plus, it really helps with because a lot of people, like 9 out of 10 people, choose a doctor only after they read a review about the doctor online. So what typically happens is they're typing your name or your practice name, and if they see a lot of 5 stars, like many of our clients, over time they have worked on their reputation with our help, and they have 4 or 5 stars. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can be done. It can, like anything else, like health, you can work on it and you can improve it. So that's really important, because when 9 out of 10 people are looking you up by name to make sure you are somebody that they really want to come and see, by typing your name in and reading reviews, what you're looking for is, you need to make sure your average ratings are high. So like anything else, you should work on it. So how are ratings determined? Different companies do it different way. Google, for example, will verify the person. So it has to be a real person. Sometimes Google will send a text message confirming the person. Now, if they already have a Google account, Google doesn't have to do that, and more than 1 billion people have Google accounts. So so every company is different. You just have to follow their rules when you kind of set up your profile, and make it easy for people to rate you and review you. We already talked about proactively working on online reputation. If you don't have time to do this, you need somebody to kind of do the dirty work and manage all your profiles and make sure your names are consistent. And a lot of times duplicate listings will be created, because the way the web works is a lot of these listings are auto-generated based on publicly available information. So if your name is slightly different, on some website, Google or some of these other sites might think it's a different business and create a duplicate listing for you. So you have to ask Google to send a PIN, and then somebody has to log in and merge the 2 accounts or delete one. There's a lot of technical work. So have some people to take care of that for you. Obviously, the postcard would come to you with the PIN, which you have to forward to your marketing firm. So really managing all of that is really important, and then make sure that your company is actually doing things, and look at the hours they're putting in and what they're doing, so you know what's going on. Because a lot of people will say they do stuff, but then they don't do anything. So it's kind of important for you as the owner of the business to kind of keep tabs on what's going on, and that people are actually doing what they're supposed to. What is brand? And we have an entire presentation dedicated to discovering your brand and communicating and living your brand. But in a nutshell, a brand is what makes you unique enough for people to keep coming back to you when they have a lot of other choices. So if you're an existing practice, ask your patient, ask your happy patients, why do you keep coming back to me? Why do you refer me to your friends? And a lot of times they all will give you pretty similar answers, which typically will tell you what your brand is, what makes you unique. And a lot of people think branding is all the services you provide. Wrong. It's not the case. It doesn't have anything to do with the services. Some other people think branding is 10 things. It's not. Typically it's 2 or 3 things, because most people are not looking at 15 things before they choose a doctor. They're typically making that gut decision based on few things that they feel is what they need and the doctor focuses on. Some people, it's about results. I've seen a lot of my top clients, and patients choose them because of amazing results. For other people, it's more about being able to have that rapport and that trust with their doctor, and they really feel at home. Like, for example, if some people are afraid of going to a dentist, if the dentist is somebody who can really make them feel at ease and can help them with that, that's why they keep coming back to that particular dentist. So we kind of, to summarize, reputation building, SEO and online identity management, social networks, managing all the misinformation online. These are all key things you need to focus on. Let's talk about social networking for a bit. Now, there are most social networks like Instagram, and one of the questions or even Pinterest and so forth. So one of the questions I get asked by doctors is, should I focus on Pinterest? And I would say, if you have interesting pictures that people would want to engage in, could be educational pictures or anything like that, you could, have a small presence there and have, boards that people can pin and so forth. In my opinion, Facebook is something you need to pay attention to, but like I said before, don't put too much time, because nobody goes to Facebook or any social site trying to research a doctor. Rather, it's just how they keep in touch. So have enough time invested so you are part of their day-to-day lives and you're part of their daily activities through the news feed. Twitter, not that effective. However, from a standpoint of Google and other search engines pay attention to it, at least having a presence won't hurt, with the minimal amount of things posted. So whatever you do on Facebook, you could also share via Twitter. We already talked about, the importance of fresh content, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. So what is good content? Here we're going to talk about some key points that you want to pay attention to when you develop content. So look at how often is your content changing on your website. Try to add at least 1 to 2 new articles every month. The more the better. So for example, we have writers, and we make sure all of our clients' content gets updated with new articles and new content every week and every month. The other thing to focus on is, are those content written in a way that other people want to link to it? Now you using that content in the other types of marketing that you do. For example, you could link to an article from your Facebook. And also make sure that, like I already covered in one of my earlier slides, that the articles have at least 300 words of original content. At 350 would be recommended. We already talked about some of these points. In other words, how do you get your content leveraged through multiple methods? Finally, listen to Google, because Google keeps changing its algorithms. For example, in the last little while, the biggest thing that happened is Google now shares information on exactly how many people are typing in what search, where do you show up, what's your position across all of Google's products, and this allows you to focus and work on things that are really important in terms of what people are looking for. So stop doing the searches the way you used to on a computer screen, because that doesn't work anymore, because Google does change results depending on device, depending on location and search history. So looking at actual Google data on what keywords are being used, how many times, and where you stand is very important. The other things that Google has been doing lately is this is maybe last year, is link building. So, the old ways of doing link building doesn't work anymore. So removing bad links, managing the links, and then going after really high quality links is key. And the third thing is Google is continuing to merge more and more of its products. So single login, Google Plus runs through all of Google's products. Google Maps and Google SEO are becoming more and more integrated. I have clients who get thousands of people from SEO and hundreds of people looking up directions from Google Plus. So Google Places. So those are things you want to pay attention to, all the details on how Google is functioning and how Google is changing its algorithms. Link building, we already touched on it in my last slide. So the old ways of doing link building doesn't work anymore. In terms of upcoming presentations, the next one is going to be on local search engine optimization and Google Places. We'll spend 30 minutes, going through some in-depth techniques and in-depth tactics that we have learned helping 200 clients. One of the things I'm really proud of is that 100% of our clients within the first year end up ranking for 100 plus, different search terms within the first page of Google. What those search terms are very different today than they used to be. So we're going to share exactly how you can think about it, what keywords to go after, some case studies, some examples. Google Places is also really, really important because more and more people rely on reviews and are using mobile devices, and Google Places is a very popular product on, every type of mobile device out there. Branding, we're going to dedicate an entire presentation to this. Branding is really important. If you look at all the big, successful businesses, whether it's Apple or Amazon.com or Nike, they all became who they became by really focusing on branding. Like I touched on earlier, branding is about really knowing what makes you unique or different. And typically that's, what makes you, stand out. But a lot of small businesses don't realize what their brand is and don't focus on living that brand and communicating that brand. So we're going to share a lot of best practices on both discovering the brand, living it, and communicating it, and how you can use that to grow the value of your business. The following presentation, the third of the next three presentations, is going to be on reputation management and social media. We will get into specific sites like Yelp, Citysearch, Yahoo Local, Bing Local. We are going to talk about best practices. We're going to talk about how to deal with negative reputations. We're going to talk about many, many different things with regards to how you can manage your online reputation. Also, recently there was a ruling, literally I think it was yesterday, from the EU courts called the right to be forgotten. And pretty much what happened is somebody in Spain who had his house sold because of some kind of credit issues 15 years ago wanted that information to be removed from the internet, and Google fought them, and it went all the way to the highest court in EU, and EU ruled in his favor and said, yes, he has the right to be forgotten. So I think this will start having implications all over the world. So definitely this is going to have an implication immediately in all the European Union countries, because it is the law of the land now. Now I think eventually Canada, US, and North America will start listening to this, because the old laws that made sense before the internet don't make any sense anymore, because I deal with this a lot. I have a lot of clients who are unfairly abused by other parties, almost like blackmail, where their negative reviews are used to blackmail them and, kind of really hurt their business. So I think this case will have ramifications. It might take years for it to really, affect the US, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but I do think eventually it's going to start having ramifications. We will also talk about social media, and social media, in terms of best practices, what sites to focus on, how you can think about social media, and so forth. We already touched on analytics, so we will dedicate the last presentation to discuss analytics. One of the things that sets us apart is our ability to help our clients grow their business, and the way we do that is by connecting the dots. So by looking at important numbers like traffic and phone calls, and even going a bit more detail in analyzing the calls and analyzing the traffic, then setting plans that leverage the numbers we see so we can set goals and achieve goals. Like, for example, you can't grow a business 25% if you're getting the same amount of phone calls or the same amount of traffic to your website. So you need to have plans and goals to grow certain aspects of your online marketing. So analytics is really important. Automated marketing and content marketing is the idea that with the help of technology that you can reach many people without having to do things one by one. So that's something we'll also touch on in this last presentation. So I'm opening it up for questions and answers. And also I would like to make a special offer. And the special offer is anybody who attended or watched this video, we are willing to review your digital marketing strategy. In other words, we will look at how well you are doing compared to your competition. We'll spend 2 to 3 hours. We will also help develop an online marketing plan, and then we will share the findings and recommendations with you. So if you're interested, email me directly at narayan@equa.com or call me directly at 877-249-9666, and I'll be more than glad to extend this offer to you. Thank you very much, and let's go to questions and answers.
Yes, thank you, Naren, for educating us with all that information. We'll continue with our discussion segment. Let me start with the questions we have got this evening. The first question, Naren, I have for you is, I have negative reviews on Yelp. What can I do about it?
Yeah, negative reviews on Yelp. Well, Yelp is one of the toughest sites to deal with, and what I have seen some of my successful clients do is they have specifically identified what's called active Yelpers, so people who are actively using Yelp, because one of the challenges with Yelp is that it doesn't show all the reviews. It'll only show some reviews, and Yelp's position is that it'll only show reviews from active Yelpers. So actively seeking out active Yelpers, and then obviously encouraging them to do reviews about your practice online. So that's one way I know clients deal with it. Now, Yelp typically doesn't remove negative reviews. On the other hand, some other sites, if you can really prove to them, will remove negative reviews. The latest ruling on the right to be forgotten, like I just touched on, I think will have some implications long term. Even on sites like Yelp, it may not happen today, but I think the tide is shifting towards privacy and people's right not to be bullied online. So I do think in the long term, the laws might be changed. So if you are being abused by somebody without fact, you might be able to fight back. But so far, it has always favored, the companies, not necessarily the doctors who are trying to manage their reputation.
Thank you, Naren. We'll move on to the second question. Is link building still a good idea?
Link building, at the end of the day, Google is a computers, right? So it's not human beings manually going through pages and deciding which page should be shown for what search. So Google is going to always use algorithms and techniques to figure out how well you do and how many links you have, and the quality of those links is one of the key things Google looks at, and I think will always look at. However, trying to do link building in a way that is considered, not white hat, meaning best, recommended practices, will hurt your business. So I think you have to constantly monitor your links and remove or tell Google to not look at bad links, because Google's definition of good and bad links will change. Also, you need to adapt your strategies. You need to include more social media type links. You need to include, more review site type links, because those are also being looked at more and more by Google. I think I already touched on the idea of NAP, name, address, phone number consistency across all these different review sites. Also, there are other tools like social bookmarking tools and blogs and so forth, where if you have, if you have mentions where you're being mentioned on those sites, it will help you. So I think targeted link building combined with management of existing links is key for your long-term success. And having done this with 200 clients, I know it still does work and it's still important for success.
We'll move on to the next question, Naren. What is the latest on Google?
Yeah, I kind of touched on this question already during my presentation. It's Google Analytics sharing a lot more information, Google integrating its products between, mobile and Google Places and Google Plus, that's their social media product, and SEO. It's the latest changes in terms of Penguin Panda and those updates, I think last year or so, that really started punishing people for bad practices, including bad links and so forth. So those are the latest. And as you know, Google is constantly evolving. And also, I think Google is moving into a personalized search world, which means search history, location, those things will play a bigger and bigger role because people are consuming in the internet more from mobile devices. Google now knows a lot more about them because it knows, where they are, what the weather is, and all kinds of information based on location. Now all of that is being used along with search history to customize results.
Fine, Naren, we'll move on to the other question. How important is Facebook or social media for online marketing?
Yeah, like I kind of touched on this already. We will get more into the into details around social media, but in general, you shouldn't spend more than 2 to 3 hours on Facebook. And the reason is nobody goes to Facebook to find a doctor. However, Facebook is a great way to keep in touch with people because in today's world, people are used to the idea of, even being greeted on Facebook for their birthdays. So Facebook is how people keep in touch. I've heard stats like 700 million or 800 million people use Facebook on a daily basis. So Facebook has become kind of like the modern way to keep in touch with each other. So having relevant educational posts, having infographics, having things that you do that's good for the community, those types of things is a good way for you to stay engaged. I can go a lot more in detail, which I will do in one of my other presentations on reputation management and social media.
Okay, Naren, we'll move on to the last question that we have for you today, and it's a very interesting question. What exactly does Equa do? And can you share some of your experiences with clients?
Yeah, our business Equa kind of was an accident in the sense we were running our own websites, driving hundreds of thousands of people, and a dentist we were trying to convince to be on our site talked me into doing his online marketing because he realized with our large team and our deep experience and our experience competing with people like Amazon.com, we can do things that the average person is not able to do. And then when we developed our business, we really focused on keeping clients for life. So we really focused on how do we grow our business. So we really started looking at internet marketing as a whole and trying to build teams. So currently the 100 people we have who serve approximately 200 plus clients are broken into different teams, and they become really, really good at what they do. And because we have a large team and only a limited number of clients, we are able to dedicate a lot of hours on behalf of our clients. That really helps us, stand out and succeed online with regards to marketing. So one of the things I'm proud of is 90% of our clients stay with us year after year. So go to equa.com and check out the testimonials, check out our design gallery, and the work we do, and you'll get a better idea of what we do.
Okay. And I have just one more thing, Naren, before you go. Can you spend some time talking about how doctors can leverage Entrepreneur.MD to grow their practices? And I know many of these resources are free for doctors.
Absolutely. I'm going to start sharing my screen, my computer screen. Can you see it? I'm on Entrepreneur.MD.
Not as
Can you?
yet.
Okay.
Yes, now I can, yes.
Okay, great. So I'm on Entrepreneur.MD. Currently, we reach around 200,000 doctors. And Entrepreneur.MD is an idea that we started working on maybe a year and a half ago. And the idea was very simple. Doctors are getting squeezed by, Obamacare and, changes in medicine. Also, so that fundamentally means for a doctor to survive, either they join a large corporation or they have a tougher and tougher road ahead. So we created this website and this entire platform, so to speak, to help doctors in private practice think about and grow their business. So we started by focusing on various specialties. Currently, we focus on dermatology, dentistry, veterinary medicine, ophthalmology, plastic surgery, chiropractic, pediatrics, family medicine, and internal medicine. Let me take you to one of those sites because all the sites kind of have a similar look and feel. There's a lot of information you can get. We also have a newsletter that you can sign up for. So we have, 50, 60 experts right now who contribute content on all types of business topics. We have videos also from these experts you can come and view. We research clinical articles from all places, all sites on the internet, and we share summaries so you can review those and obviously read it if you're interested. So you don't have to read 20 magazines. You can just read our newsletter or come to our site to see everything on particular clinical topics relevant to your practice area. So this is the dermatology practice. We do similar things with news. We, have a team focused on gathering news relevant to dermatologists or different practice areas and then sharing it. Also events. So all kinds of events all around the, globe, we find it and we share it. And we also create infographics that you can share with your patients and other doctors. Like, for example, these infographics, you can post on your Facebook. We work with companies, so the different service providers have created listings on the website, and some of them have special offers for you where they are willing to provide discounts and so forth. Also, we work with accountants and attorneys. Again, the accountants and attorneys are willing to do a free consultation with you and share content like articles and different templates you can use. We also provide premium services, so reputation management is one of the services we started providing recently. So Entrepreneur.MD is something that I believe in and I really think will be a game changer. As an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur with a team of 150 people, I'm really committed to this. So 25 of our 150 people are focused on Entrepreneur.MD, and we have been working on it for a while, and it's interesting. We think we are going to change how people, learn about how to grow their business and actually do that. So we are excited, and we would love for you to take advantage of all this. So, except for 5% of the content here, 95% of the content here is free for doctors. So you can access 95% of what we do at no cost anytime through the website, through our newsletter. So, we would love for you to take advantage of this.
Thank you, Naren, for your time spent with us, and we will have to say goodbye to you. And thank you very much for all our viewers and participants. We will be sending this video so you can share it with your friends, and we will also keep you informed of our next webinar within a few weeks. The topic for the next webinar is local search for doctors, search engine optimization, and Google Places. Hope you have a very good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Tilani, and thank you everyone for taking the time. Appreciate it. Bye for now.